Hi, how is everybody? Can you hear me? Put a one in the chat if you can, please. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, hello. Oh, haha. Hey, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. I'm still getting the hang of this, so thanks so much for your patience with me. I'm trying to figure out how to set it on subscribers only mode. Bear with me. Well, let's do this, okay? Go ahead and do this, and then we'll go ahead and start this things out. Hang on, hit subscribers, and then it will give you minutes or customization. So today we're going to talk about empathy, and specifically we're going to kind of touch on the woo-woo portion of are you an empath? Hey Nicole, welcome in. So I go to customizations, subscribers. No, that's not it. Branding. Nope. Basic info. I will get this, I swear. Hey, Emily Narb, welcome in. Red Rock 59, thank you so much. Just don't put 5 months like I did. I love you too, Deb. Oh my God, I love you so much. Okay, we just won't have it on subscribers only, because I'm a twit. I'm a twit. So is everybody doing good today? We're doing all good? So I was going to talk about some YouTube stuff here right quick. And this is kind of a trigger warning. But since we're talking about empathy, there's a thing with Molly Golightly and her mom that's going on right now. Go to the stream link itself, hit edit video, customize, about halfway down. Okay, I'll try that. And there's a lot of blow up over that because some people say, boo, she shouldn't have said that her mom died and that blah, blah, blah. And it's a scam. And other people are saying, sorry, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, y'all. So hang with me here. But other people are saying, we need to give her some empathy. We need to give her, for what she's going on. Okay, that's not working. Okay. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Savage says, oh, hi, Savage. Hi. Hang on. Dee 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 dee. It's your home. It's your hold music. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 dee. Yeah, I give up. Okay. So, yeah, I was modding like 950 last night. Oh my God, that was crazy. But anyway, so yes, Molly Golightly's mom, should we have empathy for her because she's going through her mom being sick, and maybe she posted the wrong thing saying she's gone, and are we just thinking it's a big scam? You know what? I'm kind of in the middle because I really try to look at everybody with empathy. So, we see people who say, well, I'm a good parent because my kids are still alive. Or I'm a good parent because whatever. Maybe mom shouldn't have been smoking crack and her kid wouldn't be dead. That doesn't seem real empathetic. And I understand that form of thinking. And then there's also the people who say, oh, well, someone came unglued and alive because we don't know what went on in real life. They could have had an argument on text or whatever in Discord, and somebody could have said horrible, horrible things. And now they're just coming unglued on the live. No, I'm sorry. Things need to be separated out. Hey, Linda H., welcome in. So what we're going to talk about today is empathy and empaths, okay? And do me a favor, put in the chat what you think empathy is. What is empathy to you? I'll wait. Dee 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 dee. Sympathy, but in a healthy way. Okay. What else we got? Putting yourself in another person's shoes. Emotional connection. Don't worry, PJ. I read Typonese. Typonese. Understanding other people's situations and feelings. Yes. Yes, all those things. Sorry, my cat is deciding that he needs to be with me right now. But so empaths, and I always think of Deanna Troi from Star Trek: The Next Generation because she was an empath and blah. But anyway, empaths are individuals who are extremely perceptive of the feelings and emotions of people around them, which typically comes through some intuitive abilities. But sometimes empaths may face challenges with setting boundaries between themselves and others. May face challenges with setting boundaries between themselves and others. I'm going to try to take you guys here. So this is from Dr. Judith Orloff, and you can actually, hang on a second. You can actually find a ton of these. Here we go. Find a ton of these online. But if you got a pen and a paper, I want you to kind of write down, give yourself a point if it's a yes, all right? So, the empath self-assessment. Have I been labeled as overly sensitive, shy, or introverted? Do I frequently get overwhelmed or anxious? Do arguments or yelling make me ill? Do I often feel like I don't fit in? Hi, Forgotten Whispers. How are you, sweetheart? Am I drained by crowds and need alone time to revive myself? Am I overstimulated by Sorry, I lost my place here. Overstimulated by noise, odors, and nonstop talkers. Do I have chemical sensitivities or can't tolerate scratchy clothes? This really sounds a lot like autism, but we'll get into that some other day. Do I prefer taking my own car places so I can leave early if I need to? Hey, Nessie B, welcome in. Do I overeat to cope with stress? This can also be things like self-medicating with alcohol or drugs. Am I afraid of becoming suffocated by intimate relationships? Do I startle easily? Do I react strongly to caffeine or medications? Hey, Seal, drive safe. Don't look at the chat. Do I have a low pain threshold? Do I tend to socially isolate? Do I absorb other people's stress, emotions, or symptoms? Am I overwhelmed by multitasking and prefer doing one thing at a time? Do I replenish myself in nature? Do I need a long time to recuperate after being with difficult people or energy vampires? And do I feel better in small cities or the country than large cities? And do I prefer one-on-one interactions or small groups rather than large gatherings? Has everybody got their totals? Here we go. So if you answered yes to 1 to 5 of these questions, you're at least partially an empath. Hang on just a second. I had to cough. Responding yes to 6 to 10 questions means you have a moderate empathic tendencies. Responding yes to 11 to 15 means you have strong empathic tendencies. And answering yes to more than 15 questions mean that you are a full-blown empath. Let's go back here. So what does that mean? You have psychic abilities? Is that it? Anybody know their scores right offhand? Where did you get? Oh, I like that. Pecan pie. I don't claim to be an empath, but I do claim to be a person with common sense. You're so rare. We need to find that genetic thing and clone you. What's a buzzword? I'm sorry. Oh, it's a part of being woke. Empathy. Yeah. It's actually kind of a part of being a human. But so empathy or being an empath has a lot to do with the intuition that you have, that gut feeling that you get. Sometimes you meet somebody and they just creep you out. And sometimes meet somebody and you just resonate. And they're like, are we best friends? That kind of thing. And so that intuition is something that I think everybody has. But so the intuition is defined as the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. It's that ambiguous knowing. It's accumulation of all your rational mind based on all of your experiences that are too much to decipher individually in a fleeting moment. Your intuition comes as like a sixth sense. Anxiety, however, is a feeling of worry, nervousness, unease, and typically about an imminent event. So the difference there is intuition or intuitive thoughts focus on the present and they tend to feel neutral or calm. Anxious thoughts relate to the past and the future, and they carry a sense of dread and nervousness. Aw, awards for empathies. I love that. So there's actually a couple different kinds of empathy. Cognitive empathy versus affective empathy. Affective empathy, if you think of the word affection, is emotional empathy. And cognitive empathy could be a mask for anxiety. That includes when you have a reaction that's like the fight, flight, freeze, or I'm going to add one, fawn. Hey, Mick, welcome in. Rosa Lang, oh, hi. The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which means basically you just try to suck up to the person and tell them all the things they want to hear to avoid a conflict. And that's usually a mask, masking the way we really feel. And so when an anxiety or fear is being triggered, there's an overwhelming swirl of thoughts and emotions. So give yourself a break. Take a moment to pause, breathe. Allow immediate reactionary thoughts to settle and the uncomfortable emotions to simmer down. Once you allow yourself stillness, you can start the process of untangling your anxiety from your thoughts versus your intuition. Intuition can be quiet compared to thoughts, but it needs your trust. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. Observe which thoughts carry emotions. Pay attention to the decision you're pulled toward out of wanting that discomfort to go away. So are you telling somebody, yeah, I'll go with you, but you really don't want to go? You know, it's okay to step back and say, let me think about that for a minute because I'm not feeling real comfortable. Spring is killing me. All of our trees are in bloom right now, even though it's like 34 degrees outside. Okay. Pay attention to the decision you're pulled toward out of wanting that discomfort to go away, and which decisions are grounded in instinct. Yeah, I can't stand to see people bullied. Especially families going through trauma, things that we in the true crime community cover. Missing kids, somebody was killed. Oh, okay. So intuition can be quiet compared to thoughts, and it needs your trust. Observe which thoughts carry emotion. That's being present in the moment. I could do hypnosis videos. Yes, you're feeling very sleepy. Once upon a time in a land far, far away. And then pay attention to your decision you're pulled toward out of wanting that discomfort to go away. Which decisions are grounded in instinct? The decisions that keep you safe immediately, but don't always take care of you in the long run, are likely being made out of fear and anxiety. The decisions that challenge you in the moment, but feel right and set you free in the long run, are likely being made as a result of your intuition. So anybody ever have something, a situation or person that they've met and just went, ew, 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 ew. And then maybe later on, once you got to know the person, you became friends? I've learned empathy through my own life struggles. I have had a lot of trauma from a young age, although I wish it was different. I'm thankful for the lessons it taught me. Yes. Yes. Remember the golden rule? Anybody remember that? Um, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Remember that? Yeah. Um, I kind of try to live by that. And to be honest with you, a long time ago when the earth was green, I was in my 20s, and I'm not a licensed professional. I tell you, I've got my PhD from the School of Hard Knocks and Bad Decisions. And so I'm just trying to share some stuff with you that I've lived through, that I'm seeing, and things that we all kind of go through. And there's so much anxiety now. So much anxiety. Bye, Pecan. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. So, I used to be called Dragon Lady. And at that time, I kind of prided myself on it because I'd lived the first 20 something years of my life surviving. I had a really unstable family. I was um, basically fobbed off from family member to family member. I was autistic, and even though my mom took me to be tested to see if I was retarded, I'm sorry to use that word, but that's what they called it back then. And it turns out, no, she's very bright. She's not, developmentally challenged. I was surviving. I was doing everything I could just to keep my ish together. And so that made a very hard shell on my outside. And so that's how I got the name Dragon Lady. Couple that with my OCD and wanting things to be perfect and whatnot, which was great for my employer because I did some miraculous things for them in their business. But at the same time, I kind of roughshod over people. And I didn't take into consideration that they're humans and they're going through life too. So being an empath is different from being empathetic. I don't like that. It's got the word pathetic on the end of it. But anyway, being empathetic. Being empathetic is when your heart goes out to someone else. And being an empath means that you actually feel another person's happiness or sadness in your own body. In empaths, the brain's mirror neuron system, it's a specialized group of cells that are responsible for compassion, is thought to be hyperactive. And as a result, empaths can absorb other people's energies, both positive and negative, into their own bodies. And at times it may be even difficult to tell if you're feeling your own emotions or someone else's. And like I said, this makes me think a lot of autism because there's a lot that science and medicine just don't know. And oh my God, I could totally rabbit trail off on something else right now. So, we're talking about anxiety. We see the news, and like I said last time, we see the kids missing and the environment being absolutely poisoned, and, there's a threat of war and all this other stuff. And we look at these situations and we think, oh, those poor people in the Ukraine, or those poor people in East Palestine, or whatever the situation is, and we absorb those feelings. And yeah, these kind of build on each other. Did you get that? But anyway, and we become to the point where, whether we're aware of it or not, we've got anxiety building up inside of us. And right now it's kind of tough sleuth mom. It wasn't until I was older that I realized that not everyone could feel things. That's true. That's true. Some people have the what we were talking about, cognitive empathy, which means that, okay, I'm at a funeral or somebody said something horrible is happening to their family. And so what I'm going to do is say, I'm so sorry. You have my deepest condolences. Is there anything I can do to help? Hey, Grismatically Clever. I love that name. And you have an automatic thing. That's the mask. That's the what I'm supposed to say, right? Versus the feeling within you. You might be saying those things, and in your heart and your mind, you're like, oh God, move along. Let's change the subject. Can I leave this situation? And it's like that for a lot of people because we do have that compassion fatigue. We get overloaded with anxiety. We have cortisol, which is the fight or flight stress hormone that builds up in our body. And I think that's why a lot of people have big bellies now. It probably has a lot to do with food and all that stuff. But cortisol stress builds up in your belly. And so that's just, my 2 cents. But anyway, and so we have to stop, and specifically with YouTube, and you're going to hear this from me over and over and over again, because it's something that needs to be driven home, that we need to really take to heart, is that if it's affecting you negatively, step back and reassess why it's affecting you negatively. What about it is, do I need to separate myself from this? Yes, Seal. Less stress equals a smaller belly. Woo! Hey, T. Kelly. How are you, love? And specifically because a lot of us have our social interactions online, whether they're Facebook friends or they're YouTube people or their Discords or whatever, the relationships we have, and we tend to call them friends. But that's what's called a parasocial relationship. Yes, I'm plump because I care. I'm totally stealing that, Linda. But a parasocial relationship, para comes from the Greek. It means to be alongside of, okay? Like a paramedic, that sort of thing. They're not full-blown doctors, but they have enough to kind of come alongside and help, right? Paramedic, para. So parasocial means that these aren't real relationships. And I hear so many people saying, oh, my friend, hurt me. And, we may have even had our direct emails or Google numbers or whatever, but it's not the same. It's not the same. And when you communicate primarily through chat or through text, you're not able to get across everything that you need to say. And so when that's the case, there's a lot of misunderstanding that happens. And we see this on some YouTube channels that we accuse of giving out misinformation or disinformation. Do you guys know the difference between misinformation and disinformation? Give me a 1 in the chat if you do. Misinformation and disinformation. Thank you. I probably should have done this. I'm going to get better at this. I promise, guys. I'm trying. The bunny is because we are the burrow. And the burrow is a nice, safe place to get together. It's comfortable. It's warm. It's protected. And burrow also means to dig. to dig into some subjects and things that maybe aren't comfortable to hear, or maybe that we just need a reminder for. So this is a nice, safe place. Okay, PJ gave me a 0.5. Yeah, we kind of, so I'll break it down. Misinformation is giving out information. Yes, BC. There's always a 0.5 and a 0.75 and a 1.5 answer to those things, because no answer is wrong. Yay, no answer is wrong ever. But misinformation is giving out information that is not accurate unintentionally. Unintentionally. That, like the beginnings of a case, and we hear XYZ is happening, and then it turns out, no. Okay, it was wrong. They didn't go missing at 4:20. They went missing at noon. That sort of thing. Misinformation is given out unintentionally and should be corrected. Disinformation is incorrect information given out intentionally. Yes, grammatically, that's right, which is intended to mislead. And that's where we see these things like, remember Joseph Morris and the big debacle over at the Idaho 4 case? And, he had a recording and he had autopsy pictures of Gabby Petito and those type of things. Things that we know that are not true, but we're going to spread them anyway in order to mislead. Sometimes we call those clickbait. You know what I'm talking about? Clickbait, clicks and views. So we need to understand that these type of things are presented to us to play on our emotions. Because we do have empathy, because we do care about these families, these situations, these kids, and so those things, the disinformation that's put out there is intentionally meant to draw us in and to get us into a place where we become emotionally invested in that story. And some of us can't let it go. Some of us just can't let it go. And there are others who, when they find out they have mis or disinformation, they can't own it. They'll double and triple and quadruple down until they're forced to admit it one way or another, whether it's, deleting their videos, or whether it's changing the name of their Twitter account, or whatever. But the thing is that because we have all these things, and because we're having such a hard time deciphering through all of this, I think that's probably a good term. Trying to decipher all this stuff that, let's run this thing, that builds up the anxiety in us. And if we're not aware of it, we just kind of let it roll, just the roll. We go with it. We kind of figure that all of this is just part of life, and, we're supposed to handle all this and all that kind of thing. And I believe we got shiny trophies. Aw. I was dissed by that information. I like that, T. Kelly. Yes, because some people are targets of that disinformation. Squirrel. Sorry about that. Totally got off it. Oh, anyway, so we don't know who to trust. We don't know, whatever. We've got all this anxiety building up inside of ourselves. And yes, I am a spiritualist reverend and a psychic medium. No, I'm not. Just kidding. Just kidding. But, and then we hear people who say things that might not be absolutely confronting and offending, but they kind of trigger us anyway. When I hear people talking about who accuse parents the first thing, and then they don't let it go. I'm thinking specifically of like Kaylee Jones and Kylie Rodney's mom and Sammy and Jagger and all those people were just going at them so hard on social media. And Tyler, I don't remember his last name, but the guy that was lost at sea duck hunting, his wife was 7 or 8 months pregnant in, um, in a high-risk pregnancy. This woman was getting death threats because of people who were associating this murder conviction or murder charge with Tyler, which was the wrong person, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we see these people being targeted by this stuff. And I think Doyle, thank you, Tyler Doyle. And I think that so many people have gotten so hardened, that's our way of surviving, is if we just harden our heart, if we become, tough as nails, if we're just badass and nobody's gonna F with me, and, and I'm not gonna take any shit. But here's the thing. If you don't have enough empathy to step back and say, what are the facts? And we know very little about what goes on in true crime. We know very little about what happens in a big YouTuber's life. We don't know all the details. We have between 2 words and maybe a paragraph of text that we're making assumptions on, that we're putting an implied value to it. But we don't know all the facts. And we got to step back from those emotional reactions, and we have to digest, what do we know? And I love this term. It's empirical evidence. Empirical evidence is something that you can pick up in your hand and look at or read, like a police report, or yes, there's the text message. I have it on my phone. Something that you can look at to prove what you're saying. And we don't have empirical evidence in most of these, anything in life. You could think somebody at work is being a jerk to you because they're just an asshole. But maybe they're being a jerk to you because they've gone through so many things, either recently or through their entire lives, their past trauma. They may be a recovering alcoholic or a recovering addict. And what they're trying to do is keep an equilibrium, a balance in their life, and walk through their day. And if they respond to you in the wrong tone, or, they say something weird, then you just assume they're an asshole. Empathy looks beyond that and says, wow, that was really harsh. I wonder what's going on with them. Now, this is not to give everybody a pass to be an asshole to you, okay? This is not just, I'm just going to turn the other cheek, because you do need to set boundaries, but we also need to communicate. We also need to communicate with each other, and we need to figure out, hey, what's going on here? What is going on? And I'm not real good at this, to be honest with you, simply because I'm autistic, okay? And sometimes things happen immediately, and then I have to step back and go, wow, why did I react that way? Or what's going on? Because every day, every minute of my life is behavior modification. Because if I just acted like my aspy self, I'm really blunt. And I know that's not the way to be because I don't like people coming up to me saying, hey, you're an asshole. I don't like that. And so I don't want somebody to think that I'm going to pop off on them like that. Hang on just a second. I'm trying to find something here. So what's the best way to overcome all this? Give yourself some time. Give yourself some time to just step back and to breathe and to, maybe think about what's going on. What's going on in your life? Why am I feeling this way? What is triggering me? And that's hard to do, you know. And just for me, that helps me quite a bit. And I'm not consistent with anything. Not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. But when I get really wound up, I try to meditate. Brandy Neal is here. Hi, Brandy. Hi, sweetheart. Um, that's another one that was attacked. And oh, I am so invested in Michael Vaughn. I have his little picture and his bracelet and everything hanging right over my desk. And I pray for him and his family daily because I am so touched by what they went through and all the Twitter weasels. But what I wanted to say is that you're able to step away for a minute and give yourself time to think, figure out what's going on inside you. Hi, hey, B. Tim. Rarely can we change anything outside. We all have like the Mother Teresa or the White Knight syndrome where I can save them. It's that love story where, he's a hardened criminal, but my love is going to change him. No. People change when they want to change. So the only thing we can change is us, right? And so with meditation, it's just slowing down the brain, all that garbage that built up in there, all the emotion, all the information, all the anxiety, just kind of clearing it out and letting your brain rest for a minute. And it's hard because anybody who's been through meditation, you go through a thing called monkey brain. And that's when your brain is just all over the cage, it's throwing shit everywhere, and you need to calm that down. And so there are a few things that help me. I'm going to try to share with you if I can find it. Here. You ever heard of when you're going to sleep to count sheep? Counting sheep. Do you know why you do that? Because it gives your brain something to focus on that's not those crazy thoughts. Counting sheep. It focuses your mind into something other than the anxiety that you have. So what I'd like to do real quick is play you some things. There on YouTube and on Spotify and all these other places, there's an app called Insight Timer that have guided meditations where somebody actually talks to you and they say, okay, we're going to get together and you're stepping down. You're on the 10th step. Sorry, there's only 22 seconds long, so I have to keep playing it. But You're on the 10th step. You're on the 9th step. You're getting relaxed. You're getting sleepy. Calm is overcoming you. You know, that sort of thing. So there's guided meditations available. There's also something called white noise or brown noise. Basically, what that is, I'm going to try to share this, and it's probably not going to work, but we'll try. Can you hear that?
Good evening. We now have the police.
No, that's not what I meant. But basically, it's something for your brain to hear that can wash out all the other stuff and just allow yourself to relax, to overcome, to step away. Seal, are you timing people out? Yes, you are. White noise. What I listen to is called brown noise, and that's actually a frequency lower because white noise to me sounds too abrasive. It sounds, I don't know, I don't like it. But there's also things out there called binaural beats, and it's music that has specific frequencies that it is calibrated to, and some are for pain, some are for deep sleep, some are for trauma related, some are for, that sort of thing. So if you can do that, if you can find a way just to step away for a little bit, just to unwind, unpack. Happy birthday, Louisiana girl. But anyway, to do that, then what happens is you have a fresh perspective on what's going on. If you're triggered by something, if you're anxious about something, it's going to help you to figure out how best to navigate it. It's like taking the stormy seas and finding a nice safe dock for your boat for a while. And I'm saying this because I think a lot of the kids nowadays, of course, nobody in this chat because everybody's fabulous, but children nowadays are not, and I don't have the answer to this, so I'm just going to throw this out there. But I think that a lot of parents are kind of relegating their children over to electronics rather than investing in their kids, rather than realizing that these are little humans that I'm responsible for, and I want them to be good humans. And obviously there are some parents that are not so great, that they want their kid to grow up to be an asshole. They want their kid to grow up and bully and be mean, but we're not those people, so we're just going to push them to the side for a second. But while we're talking about sleep, before I forget it, I found this sleep mask that has Bluetooth earphones in it, which is fabulous because forever I have used earplugs and a sleep mask for sensory deprivation for me to sleep because I'm hypersensitive to everything. So sleep masks with earphones in them, they don't go in your ears. They're just, part of the thing. Fabulous. So worth an investment. But going back to kids, sorry. Rabbit trails. So going back to our kids. And some people think it's great. Some people don't. But the school's trying to teach, and I can't remember the term for it, cognitive conversations that make kids think about situations and how they should react. They're trying to teach them to recognize their emotions. They're trying to teach them how to decipher those things, and the best way to respond in a compassionate way. And it made me think of this poem. And everybody's heard it, but I'm going to read it here. Hang on. Actually, I think I have a thing for it. Yes. Okay. So this poem is by Dorothy Law Nolte, and it's called Children Learn What They Live. So if children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with ridicule, they learn to be shy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn to be patient. If children live with praise, they learn to appreciate. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and others. And if children live with friendliness, they learn that the world is a nice place to live in. Gonna let that sink in for a second. So your parents may have sucked. I know my parents did the best they could. You know, kids don't come with a manual. Crying out loud. You know, I mean, they might give you something after labor or delivery that says, here, this is how to keep your child alive. But it doesn't talk about the ins and outs of parenting. And yes, you can take parenting classes and all that other stuff. But the thing is that it's the day-to-day interactions with our kids. If we want a better world, it needs to start with us. And all of these things, that poem, which I absolutely adore, is not just a blanket thing to let your kids get away with everything. No. You need to correct them. You know, if they came home and they started a fight at school and you find out what the fight is about, help them work through those things. You know, why did it escalate into punches and what's going on? And that's showing them compassion. That's showing them acceptance. That's showing them that you can understand that they did something that is not correct and how to correct it. And I think that's what we need a lot of nowadays, is just learning to have some empathy for other people. Yes, Linda H. A lot of people do that. Made a very conscious decision and effort to not be my mother. I would put those comments up here, but seriously, I don't know how. But so what do you guys think? Any takeaways? Anything that maybe touched you or reminded you of something? Or remember, I'm not a spiritualist reverend and I'm not a psychic medium, but just want to touch everybody. And I think we all need to human better. You know, we just need to human better. Like I said, it's not carte blanche. You know, if someone's doing something shitty and crazy and whatnot, call them out for that. It's not okay to take advantage of people. It's not okay to spread disinformation for clicks and views and super chats and cash apps. That's not okay. But at the same time, let's not, and I'm going to use a B. Tim word here, ad hominem. Ad hominem. It means to attack somebody personally. When we're having discussions, we need to step back. We need to remove the emotions. We need to have factual based points of why we think the way we do and not attack the person personally. And this goes for people going real life, pulling up criminal backgrounds and, doxing people online and all of that kind of thing. Stop it. This is freaking internet. Just stop. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Okay. Quiet freaks me out. I tend to listen to hear things. When I hear something weird, when there's running water, whether it's in my bathtub or whether it's in a stream or in a fountain in the mall or whatever, I hear music. I hear music in water. Of course, I do have tinnitus from being a headbanger back in the 80s. So I got a constant ring. But anyway, that's kind of a sidetrack. Thank you all for joining me so much. I appreciate everybody showing up and showing some love. Replay crew, you're just as important. Please hit the like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, set the bell to all. And I'm going to try to do this every Sunday. I love all y'all. Please remember, if you're having a hard time, reach out. Local professional help. If you call 988, call or text them. They actually have a database of resources that are local, and some are even free or low cost. So if you feel like you might need, just to offload and talk to a therapist and get a different point of view, call or text 988. They're pretty awesome. Or reach out to somebody who loves you and your friends. And I love all my honey bunnies. So parting words, take care of you, because then you can take care of the world too. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.